Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. In the last session, we discussed about the relevance of or the importance of moderation of food, activity, and sleep. A lifetime change has to happen if one has to start practicing meditation. No real achievement is possible if we do not take certain precautions as well as certain decisions in our life. If one wants to reduce the weight, one has to be conscious of what one eats as well as the amount of exertion or exercise one does. In the same way, mind also accumulates a lot of information, wanted and unwanted. Sometimes digestible, sometimes indigestion. Digestion takes place in the mind as well. We become restless, unhappy. So while taking the information from the world itself, one has to become aware. What I need to pay attention, what I need to take it seriously, what I should not. And this kind of a cautious and conscious living is important for a meditator. So in this section, the proceeding will be the lessons by Lord Krishna, the instructions that he would give to Arjuna for effective meditation. And he says that unless one becomes a person of personal discipline, it is hard for an individual to sit down quietly even for a few minutes in daily life. Let us see how he puts forth his ideas to Arjuna here. The mind wavering like flame of a lamp will be the distracted mind. But a mind unwavering like a flame of a lamp, only in a windless place is the state of deep meditation. When we start looking at our mind in quiet hours of early morning, or whenever you are trying to meditate, you will see that it is wavering like a flame in an open space. Whereas if you are in a closed room where the wind is not there or the breeze is not there, it is a still, little amount of air is there for the fire to continue, the flame to light up. In that particular place where there is hardly any distraction or there is no moving air, in that case the flame will be steady. Many of the yogis who wanted to practice or who would like to practice meditation keep a lit lamp in front of them. Looking at the tip of that flame on the top, they will continue to concentrate on that. This is one of the practices which yoga science will prescribe to a practitioner. However, in Bhagavad-Gita, taking that as an example, Lord Krishna says the mind of a yogi is like a flickerless flame. Let us see how it is. The lamp that is there, which is the first and foremost ingredients or requirement for the flame to be steady is like our mind. Secondly, the wick that is getting lit up is the intellect. And the oil that is necessary for the flame to continue to glow is the devotion. And the place should be obviously without much of a moving air, that is a windless place, is the absence of distractions. And the last one is the spark to light up the lamp is the knowledge provided by the teacher or the scripture. Yatha deepo nivatastaha nengade sa upama smruta yogino yatachittasya yunjato yogam atmanah. Such a beautiful simile brought out by Bhagavan Krishna here to describe the state of mind of a meditator, here onwards referred as yogi. The lamp is mind, in which the oil of devotion has to be poured. This is a very important part of the meditation, because often Gurudev would say an intellect sharp alone is not sufficient. It has to be dipped in the love for the Lord. The heart that has a love for the higher consciousness, call it Lord or the self, along with an intellect which is convinced about the practice and the goal. This combination alone is called a beautiful combination for meditation. He calls it as reverence. Our Gurudev, Swami Chinmayananda, would say, intellect convinced about the goal is obviously very alert. It has respect for the goal, respect for what it is about to undertake. At the same time, respect alone is not sufficient. It has to be coupled with love for the Lord. The consistency of practice is not mere conviction. The consistency even in a relationship is love. No relationship will be continuous if only one has a passion, a lust. The love should be such that it has to be coupled with respect. I respect the other person in my life. I need this person in my life. I feel complete with this person in my life. Then the love has a greater effectiveness. If it is mere love for the beauty of a person, or the character of the person, or the value that person holds, it may change tomorrow. She or he may have some other taste, some other lifestyle, some other way of doing things. Then you may not be able to accommodate that person. So, conviction of the intellect called respect. The bhava or emotion of love in the heart together constitute reverence. And this reverence, when it is directed towards God, I respect the Lord because without Him the whole world will come to a standstill. And I respect His power, His presence, His greatness, His glory, His intelligence, His thoroughness, His creativity. And at the same time, I love the Lord, for He is constantly taking care. Whether I like it or not, or whether I even admit and accept it or not, like a mother. Whether you really say thanks or show gratitude, Lord takes care of it without any expectation from you. So therefore, the love one should have for the very Lord, as well as the respect for His glory, put together becomes reverence. So that is very evident in the state of mind of a yogi, where the beautiful simile, as Krishna puts it here, as the lamp, which is the mind, which has the love oil called love, oil of love, and a sharpened wick, the intellect. Even as these three are there, there must be a initiation from the teacher, correct instruction, the guidance, the teaching, what to contemplate on, how to continue the contemplation, what to focus, how to focus, what is the final, all the on the way, what are the milestones in meditation, what are the things you expect to happen, and not to become anxious about whether it happens or not. Continue the journey. This inspiration comes from the guru, the teacher, the scripture, and that is like lighting the lamp with a matchstick, and the source of the fire is from the matchstick, and it lights up that particular lamp. Once the lamp is lit, it is very, very important that it is kept in a windless spot. If there are so many, distractions in the mind, even if there is an effective teaching from the guru, even if the oil is sufficient, even if the wick is called the intellect is sharp, even the container called the mind is ready, the distractions will definitely disturb steadiness of the flame. Therefore, in meditation, the lamp, the mind, the wick, intellect, the oil, the devotion, the place where there is no distraction, windless spot, and the initiation and instruction from the guru. These five aspects, when taken care, meditation is sure to happen. So we have to work on these, all the four of them. Now, as far as the teachings are concerned, yes, we have the great privilege of having the scriptures as well as the direct teachings of Pujya Gurudev, either through video and audio, and many other teachers who are in the lineage who are ready to instruct. That is already in place. That is an external aspect. What that meditator has to work on is the other four. Let the mind be ready, receptacle. Let the wick be sharp, the intellect. Let the oil of devotion to be cultivated, as well as practice in a place where there is mind is quiet without any distraction from external or internal desires and urges. Therefore, this is such a beautiful simile to show us the goal, that the yogi is like that of the flickerless flame, steadily maintaining its attention to the higher self. Here, the Bhagavad-Gita explains to us that what happens to a yogi who has thus gained the steadiness in his mind, what does he experience? It is always true that whenever we want to do something, we always look for what is the end result, what is the prayojanam, the phalam, the result. That only inspires us. Here, Bhagavan Krishna clearly mentions the end or the result of meditation is unimaginable amount of joy called bliss. Withdrawn mind is ready for self-realization, vision of God. So the withdrawn mind, what he means by that is the self that is abode of bliss is it's not a pleasure of the senses, it is not joy of the mind or the happiness of the intellect. It is much more than that. Which means to say that the mind of a yogi, which is filled with bliss, is able to do that only when it had practiced the withdrawal. Now, in the Shastra, Yoga Shastra, one of the steps that is given to us to practice is called Pratyahara. Pratyahara. The 8 steps you might have heard me talking about that before: Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyanam, and Samadhi. These are the 8 steps. Yama and Niyama are external and internal controls. And I have also explained to you, let us say that if you are flying in an aircraft and if you are a pilot, you have a panel of various instruments in front of you, panel of buttons and other things where you need to keep monitoring the movement of the flight from inside. While there is an outside control tower, which is also constantly giving communication to you as respect to what height you are flying and what are the other flights which are nearby, how you have to make sure that you maintain certain heights, and whenever there is a need to reduce or go up, etc., and what is the distance between where you are and the nearest landing or nearest airport, which are the airports you are going to cross, which direction you are going, all those things. So yama niyamas are the external and internal controls. Then yama niyama, then asana, posture, the way one has to sit or have maintained the posture in meditation, asana. Then pranayama, control of breathing, or other words, it's control of energy, so to say. Then pranayama, and then comes pratyahara. This pratyahara, the fifth step, is a very important step in meditation. Ahara means engagement, taking things from the world. Pratyahara, meaning not to take information from the world. This is an important part of practice of meditation. It is not literally, cutting off the world, but withdrawal of the mind. It is to not to give attention, not to pay attention. Like for example, if you are sitting and working on something, you are having a project to complete, and you're sitting there and then looking at the papers and putting down your ideas and referring to some books. At that time, there may be some other music coming from the next room, or in the next room somebody is watching a TV, or you're hearing somebody talking going on the road nearby, which through the window you hear. But you don't get up and look at who is going, what is going on, or you pay attention to who is watching which channel of the TV by putting the ears next to the wall. You don't, because you are not interested. You are interested in completing your project or finishing your work. So even though you hear the sound, you will not pay attention because you have withdrawn your attention. In the same way, in meditation, one must gain the capacity or the skill to completely withdraw the mind from all external distractions. Then the result of that is, for sure, one gains the inner bliss. Why we are not able to withdraw it effectively? Because we are looking for one of these three: pleasure of the senses, joy of the mind, or happiness of the intellect. Pleasure of the senses, what I mean by that is something to eat, something to see, something to hear, something to taste. These kind of external attractions are there, which the sense organs are constantly engaged in during the daily life, need to be controlled or to be curtailed in meditation. Not denial, but withdrawal. Again, I emphasize on this point. Denial is a stress. It's a pressure. It is a kind of a fight you have with the senses. It is not. One has to develop that thought, I don't need it now. I don't need to get myself get myself busy with what the senses demand right now. I have something else to do. So it is to advise the senses not to engage and paying attention to something more real and permanent. Again, joy of the mind. You can probably go to read some other book instead of doing your project. You can do, or watch some movie, or listen to some music, or you can go out for a walk or talk to some friends. So some kind of a pleasure you get, or think about something which happened during the day which is most pleasant, or talk about it to somebody else. So the mind looks for some engagement to keep itself a joyful mood. So that is a joy of the mind. Or the intellectual happiness. Just look at your achievements and look at what you have accomplished so far, or look at the Facebook and how many of them liked your picture. These are all creating pride and ego. So when the meditator sits down quietly, none of these three are to be engaged in. Neither the pleasures of the mind, or the joy of the mind, or the intellectual satisfaction called happiness. But what is the bliss that a yogi would get? The bliss is a soul satisfaction of the yogi. The soul that is constantly traveling from the time one is born or even before that till the time one is dead or even beyond that. This journey of the soul is a continuous journey. It takes many bodies, many different experiences, many different lives, and many different births, many different deaths. But then the soul's journey is continuing, and the final satisfaction of the soul is called the bliss. That is what one comes to gain in the meditation. It is not anymore a searching, it is satisfaction, it is contentment. Bliss is the infinite one, everlasting, and expressing through all actions of a yogi. As I have, or many of the people who have come in contact with Gurudev would definitely join me in confirming that when we used to be at the presence of Gurudev, I'm telling you, it is such an infinite bliss that we experience because he was expressing the infinite bliss, constantly laughing and giggling, not because of any joke or any something, some pleasurable thing that happened to him. It is just an expression of joy coming from within. And it is expressed in all actions. Anything that you would take up with so much of cheerfulness and inspiringly, enthusiastically. And that is very contagious. When we go to him with some problem, etc., what problem you have? Get going. If it is working out for you, go ahead. If it is not working out for you, learn and move on. Never stop. That was the way he would recommend and inspire us. So the joy of within, the contentment, not seeking anything from the world outside, comes through in all the actions of a yogi. The bliss having gained which the yogi does not want anything else from the world. Yamnyatva cha aparam labam manyate na adhikam tataha. This is what Krishna says. There is no other joy that a person would ever seek in this world outside. And therefore, wherever he would be, the joy would continue. Whether he is in the midst of people who are glorifying him, respecting him, saluting him, doing namaskar or listening to him, or he is all by himself alone sitting, there is no difference at all in his joy. So that is the nature of a yogi whose bliss, having gained which there is nothing more that he would ever seek from the world. And the most important thing is, any amount of sorrow that would happen, any kind of sorrow that would happen, the greatest sorrow being one's own body withering away, one's own body getting old, one's own inability to do anything anymore like before, and seeing oneself, decaying closer to death. Even in those conditions, a yogi will not lose that bliss. Of course, then people near and dear who are so close to oneself passing away, dear friends are suffering. Not that they would not pay attention, but his inner bliss will not be disturbed by that. Externally, he would definitely show concern and then do the needful, but he would not allow any of the external sorrows would to affect him in any manner. So yoga is basically, it's a detachment from association with sorrow. This is a beautiful definition Krishna makes it. Dukkha sanyoga viyogam yogam iti sanyitam. Constant disassociation with sorrow. There are many things that actually make us very unhappy. So dukkha sanyoga viyogam, that is, sanyoga means, see, for example, when let us say that you are going someplace and you meet with your friends or made friends and stayed with those people and then did so many things, you went to places, and at the end of the day or end of the tenure where you are going to be, then you have to come back to your place, then there is a sorrow, crying, no, I'll miss you and I will not see you again, and that sorrow lingers on for days together. Or it can be some things that you had and that became old or it is useless anymore, then you have to give up. Or certain other experiences caused by somebody said something, some unwanted things happen. So we constantly are coming in contact with objects or people or situations of sorrows. What Krishna recommends is, when the mind recognizes this is a source of pain. In another place, very Krishna himself explains, Bahya sansparsheshu asaktatma vindadi atmani yetsukam. Where an individual Bahya sparsheshu, anything that is external, that is other than oneself, is a source of pain sometime or the other. So therefore, one is aware of that. Any association, whether it's with a person or an object or a situation or even a memory of something, will eventually cause sorrow. So one becomes aware of that. So it's not that one does not associate with anybody, etc. It's not that. He is aware that at some point of time, if this won't be there, something will not be there, something come and go, something would be there for a while and would not stay for a long time. So being aware of that, one is able to withdraw very easily. And for withdrawal, one has to have another greater source of bliss. And that is the reason why a meditator is constantly engaging in practicing the abidance in the higher self, which we'll be seeing a little later now. So this is the bliss of a yogi, which he would express in all his actions, in all his dealings with the world. And when we are able to closely observe such a life of a yogi, we know that it did not happen to him all of a sudden. He has practiced it in quiet hours of meditation. He has withdrawn the mind and has become a discoverer of the inner bliss, the endless, infinite spring of joy that is within. And therefore, it is possible for him to, sail through the events of life without getting affected by what happens. Next question that anybody would have is, how do we even start the process? Yeah, the end result is bliss. We understand that it is an eternal, infinite bliss, which we come to see in a yogi who has reached the highest pinnacle of his existence. But where do we begin? Bhagavan Krishna is very, very practical person. He says that there is no magic here. It is not something suddenly happens. It is a very slow and steady process. Never discourage anyone who makes a continuous progress, no matter how slow. Not ever you should compare yourself with anybody else in this field. Spirituality is an exclusive journey of individuals. Just like how much you would eat and how much I need to eat cannot be, I cannot imitate you, all right? How much you want to eat is decided by you. I cannot say you took only 2 idlis and therefore I should take only 2. Or you took 3 rotis and therefore I should also take 3 rotis. That's a childish. You had an ice cream, I should also have an ice cream. It is not that. So in the same way, in spiritual practice or spiritual journey, every individual is independent. Because the soul that we have, that we are, is not necessarily the physical body. It's not the age of the physical body. It has nothing to do with the soul. A young soul can be in a very ancient body or old body, or a very ancient soul can be in a young body. So it is impossible for us to imitate spiritual practices. It should not be done as such. So therefore, Lord Krishna says every individual would have to do this practice at one's own pace. And one should not compare, okay, he is or she is able to do 20 minutes, I should do 30 minutes. There's no competition here. So the first thing that is said here is that the first impediment that comes to us in meditation is the pre-programming in our mind called sankalpa. The pre-programming is, as you all know, not only vasanas, but how do they express themselves in our daily life? I need this to make myself happy. I want to experience something. I want to eat this kind of a food. I want to meet this kind of a person. Or I want to have this kind of a dress. Or I want to have this gadget in my life. Then only I will be happy. The object doesn't demand your attention. You have pre-programmed yourself. You think that because somebody else has and somebody is happy with what he or she has, therefore I will also be happy if I have that. This is how marketing works. They show that the product that they are marketing is an important part of your life. You should have it. And they may put so many different reasons for it. You should have it to become efficient. You should have it to increase your status. You should have this to make you able to do things. You should have it so you will become, more capable, and you should make your life very easy. It is so convenient. So many different things they will put together so that you feel that you need it. That is why I called it as pre-programming. Similarly, before you meet a person, let us say your friend you are going to meet, your mind is already running towards that. What do I say? And what he would say, or what she would say, what I would say if she says this, what I will respond if he says that. This is such kind of schemy mind. So mind is constantly programming itself. Unbelievable. If you keep watching it, you realize that it's already planning for experiences. It is already planning to get things in the world. And of course, when you are traveling somewhere, you need to have everything planned. Your tickets and your travel time and where you are going, whom you are going to meet, how you are going from place to place. Yes, but what you are going to experience is not to be planned. Keep it open. Let us say that you are going to Hawaii from here. You heard about it. You heard about the island of beautiful gardens and volcanoes and then greeneries and eateries or whatever. So, but what exactly is going to be your experience cannot be decided previously by you. You just take it as it comes. In the same way, the mind of a yogi is unprogrammed, is open. Desires are born out of this pre-programming. And the desires, when not met, sorrows are for sure. Therefore, the Sankalpa Prabhavan Kaman, this is how beautifully Bhagavan Krishna puts. Sankalpa is pre-programming. Prabhavan, born out of that. Kaman, desires. Tyaktva Sarvan Asheshataha. Having given up this kind of an attitude of the mind. That is the first step, he says, for a meditator. Sit quietly, expecting nothing to happen. Just let go the mind. Just let go the thoughts. So the next one he says is, the way to withdraw the senses is through observing the mind throughout the daily life. Don't think some magical thing will happen in meditation. It won't. So while engaging in this world, while busily doing things in this world, one part of your mind constantly observes the rest of it. Not only the mind, but all the senses. Where and all my senses are moving about. What are the demands of my senses? What are the things that it seeks? What are the things it gets disappointed with? Why it is getting disappointed? Why it is demanding and then not fulfilled, getting disappointed? So thoughts or emotions and feelings, if only we are able to keep our mind, one part of our mind, alert to watch the other, you will realize that this kind of a programmed mind is the cause of the problem. So one has to find out ways and means to not only observe, but moment one is aware of this is where I am, getting caught in my daily life. These are my things that are dictating my condition of the mind. These are the external factors that are making me sorrowful, making me unhappy, making me miserable. One has to become aware of that and withdraw the inclination towards that. This needs to be practiced on a daily basis. Then he says this withdrawal is not going to happen suddenly, slowly, steadily. So this practice of meditation in the early hours of the day or when you are withdrawn from the world, do it very slowly. Shanaihi, Shanaihi Uparamed. Krishna puts it beautifully. Slowly, slowly. There's no hurry at all. The soul cannot be suddenly arrested to experience the bliss. Just like the flower that opens up, just like the sun that is coming up in the horizon, just like the clouds that are moving, just like the earth that is the seed coming out of the earth into become a beautiful sprout. The nature express itself very slowly, very quietly, without making much noise. In the same way, withdraw the mind slowly, slowly, slowly by very keen observing mind, observing intellect, until you are able to bring it completely to stillness. That's why the example of tortoise is also given. Just like the tortoise, when the moment it finds that there is a danger around, immediately it withdraws all its limbs into itself. In the same way, a yogi is capable of withdrawing the senses and the mind with a lot of attention and alertness slowly. And in meditation, in a daily meditation, if he is able to practice that, thereafter it becomes so easy. So in that still entertain, there's a mistake in the spelling, sorry. So in that stillness, entertain no more thoughts. Atma samstam manakritva na kinchita bichintayet. That's another beautiful statement from Krishna on meditation. As Gurudev writes in his commentary, as we all know by now, that mind is nothing but the thought flow. And the flow of thoughts, even stopped, mind is no more. So thoughts do not happen all of a sudden. They come in succession, one after another. So if you withdraw one, the next one will not come so quickly. If you entertain thought A, the B will come immediately, the second thought. Then followed by that another third, and the fourth, and the fifth. If you withdraw the first one itself slowly, then second will take a little more time to come up. Third, much slower. Fourth, may not come at all. Fifth will be stillness. So that is the reason why the japa is given a lot of importance in our tradition. A thought about the Lord is when it is drawn for a long time, then the thought B or the second thought would not immediately appear. If you say Om Namah Shivaya, 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 then Om Namah Shivaya, the thought 1, the followed by Om Namah Shivaya, thought 2, Om Namah Shivaya, thought 3, they are coming so quickly, just like our daily, the way we think about many things. But when you take your time in meditation, Om Namah Shivaya, and take a breath and become slow and calm. Then again, slowly, with all attention, Om Namah Shivaya. Take your time to listen to that sound merging into silence. Take a deep breath. Om Namah Shivaya. So this kind of a conscious stretching of your thought, when you practiced, then the thought 2 or second thought, first thought leading to the second thought is a choice that you would make. It is not going to happen without your approval. So when this is practiced in meditation, even when you are in the world of happening, in the transactional world, your mind will not be running because you choose to take a thought. You will choose to keep a distance from thought A to thought B. And if you are able to maintain thought A continuously, that is called, in external world, it is called concentration. And when you do that in meditation, it's called contemplation. You are able to stretch the thought to the extent you want. and make your mind fully available for that one single thought without having to entertain next one. This is, and finally, at some point of time, you stretch a thought in such a way it ends in silence and no second thought arises. That is what is called stillness. When you have one single thought stretched for a long time, it is called silence, and not allowing the next thought to come in without your permission. When you have withdrawn yourself in the silence without allowing the second thought to come in, that is stillness. This is the stillness that will lead one to the bliss. And whenever it runs out, whenever the mind due to its habit will run towards picking up the next thought, be aware of that. Withdraw it. Withdraw it consciously. Do not allow this second thought to get in. Yes, it is difficult at this point when one does not have the practice of it. But when you start practicing, you will find you can do it. It is possible. No yogi was born a yogi. If at all, if a yogi is born as a yogi, then probably he has done enough work in the previous lives. We will see that. It is going to be a question raised by Arjuna later on. A yogi is born only when he was a yogi in the previous birth. He was a bogi. He was a man of pleasure and entertainment in the previous day. Suddenly next birth a yogi, it's not going to be happening. It never happens. As Gurudev would say, you go to bed as a lawyer, you would not wake up like a doctor. That's not possible. In the same way, so a daily practice of slowing down the mind and stretching the thought to the extent possible, that will lead you to that stillness. And that stillness is what basically brings that bliss. So the mark of a yogi is, because of his ability to withdraw the mind at will, is ever peaceful, noble, serene, quiet, blissful mind. The mind of a yogi is like a lake with no waves, a sky with no clouds, the fire without any smoke. It is so beautiful. Look at a serene lake with absolutely no waves at all. Then you will see the entire reflection of the surrounding taking place in that, like a glass, like a mirror reflection. So is the nature of the yogi. He completely reflects the higher self in himself. And that is the reason why the blissful self is very much expressed in the nature of a yogi. He is blissful not because he is having some happy experience. The inner self which is blissful is the mirror reflection seen in the case of a yogi. So yogi maintains his equanimity everywhere, same in pleasure and pain. So because he has this maintained the inner tranquility, inner stillness, and he knows that it is available for everyone. It is there in them. It is there available for everyone to experience. Yet they are not paying attention or they are not practicing it. Therefore, he will treat everyone with such an equanimity. He is not going to be a victim of pain or pleasure, and he will maintain the inner tranquility and quietude as he would move around people around him. And people may like him or may not like him, but he has absolutely no likes or dislikes about people. He will be very compassionate, loving, forgiving, accommodating, hearing, participating, forgiving, because he knows that after all, if I need to enjoy the bliss of myself, my mind should not be disturbed by anything. And by not disturbing myself by myself, I am also expressing that joy for the others to experience the bliss also. If one is peaceful and handling the situations very joyfully, compassionately, people around him also will experience the same compassion and bliss. So therefore, the yogi is, the mark of a yogi is this. And the challenge of the meditator will face is that restlessness of the mind. Never give up. Krishna says, never give up. Become aware of it and bring back the mind with love, like a mother does with a crying child. The child, we experience it in our ashram, when there is a small vacation and when the child have to come back to the uh, daycare classes every day that happens here. There'll be a lot of crying, lot of fighting with the mother. No, I don't want to go. But I have seen almost all of them, all the mothers with so much of care and so much of love, sit with the child, let him cry, and then slowly, slowly say, no, beta, you have to sit down, you have to go to the class, you have to learn, and you are here for that, and I'll give you nice, nice food after you come back. I will give ice cream, I'll give you chocolate. So sit down quietly. I will cry again. Then mother will slowly, slowly sit down. No, no, let him. Slowly, slowly. When he finishes that, would you not go for my mom? Is it not that you will make me happy when you go there? Listen to the teacher. So it's like, feeling for the child. In the same way, your mind is spoiled. Our mind is so spoiled because of our in entertaining so many different things. But when it can be, you know, made to listen, made to quieten, made to become still, it is possible if we take care of our mind with so much of care, so much of love, so much of forgiveness, so much of tolerance. Yes, my mind has been agitated. My mind has been very intolerant. My mind has been very angry. My mind has been very prejudiced, very filled with strong likes and dislikes. But then it is after all my mind. It's like the mother would say, it's after all my child. I am the only person who can take care of that. In the same way, it is my mind. Who else will take care of it? I have to make sure that it is given the proper treatment. It is given, given inspiration. It is given proper, methods. It cannot happen. I know that suddenly one day it needs to be given enough time, forgive itself, tolerate its idiosyncrasies, and make sure that it slowly, slowly, slowly withdraws from the world. And such is the challenge a meditator will face, but never give up. This is what Krishna would say: Shanai Shanaihi Uparamed Buddhya Dhritigrihideya Atmasamstam Manakritva Nakinchida Vichintayet. The meditator finally reaches the point of the final end of his journey. The soul of a meditator finally merges with the highest self. And this is considered as mukti or liberation. Meditation is considered to be the final step, final frontier before one merges with the Lord. And even in Kaivalya Upanishad, the teacher there tells Ashwalayana, saying that Tasmai sahovacha pitamahascha shraddha bhakti dhyana yogat avaihi. Realize the higher self through shraddha, the faith, bhakti, the devotion, and dhyanam, meditation. Meditation is the final step towards the final realization. Now, therefore, what is this moksha according to our Vedanta? Is it that the person is no more? Moksha is what? Is it some going to some place where the Lord resides? Or is it just a disappearance, as in the case of Buddhism, nirvana? What is it? So, in the Bhagavad-Gita, the beautiful teaching of Krishna is that this liberation is not something that is going to happen uh, when the physical body falls away. This realization of the highest self is possible here and now. In this very living itself, as an individual, as a being, as a human, you can reach that moksha. That such a person is called Jivan Mukta. I think we have discussed this before also. While living itself, one has become free. And what is that freedom? What is that a person who has reached the liberation through meditation experiences. Krishna says that a meditator sees oneself in all in oneself. That means oneself in all means he recognizes that the very soul in me, which has lost its individuality. It has lost, it's like the river that is merging into the ocean has lost its individuality. It has become the ocean. Then once the water has gone into the ocean, you cannot take back that particular river water. It's gone. Which means the soul has lost its individuality. It is no more the one associated with the body, the mind, the emotion, the feeling, the vasanas, the desires, the likes and dislikes. No more that. It has become the Lord. And therefore, the yogi who is thus has realized oneself as the universal being, he himself sees himself in everything. Just like the water that is merged into the ocean, thereafter the river is no more, only ocean water is there. And all that, every other river that is coming into the ocean, also me myself. Everything comes into me only. Just like the river that has merged in the ocean no more sees any other river as independent or alien to itself. It welcomes all in itself. Therefore, in the case of a yogi also, the soul of a yogi, having discovered its higher nature, sees oneself in all in oneself. And such a yogi who has found that oneness with the higher self, he will be same to all, whether educated or uneducated, young, old, the old or poor or rich, no differences at all he would anymore entertain. For him, everyone is the same being. Everyone is the same expression of one soul. Just like a power that is lighting up many different Christmas lights, all lights of different colors, different shapes, different, flickering and many other things, that the other designs that are there, he knows it's after all one power running there. One power, source of power which is supplying the entire beauty here around. In the same way, all different expressions, whether it's a animal, bird, insect, or even inanimate things like wind, fire, air, sun, moon, stars, sky, water, fire, all are expressions of one only. So that is the universal vision. In fact, Krishna shows this universal vision to Arjun at the battlefield, but he was not able to cope up with that, because how can there be total oneness? So it was so, not only enchanting, but at the same time extremely challenging for the intellect of Arjun. So what Krishna says is that this person of highest achievement of the soul's merging with the self, he sees me, the Lord, in everything and everything in me. He is never away from me and I am never away from him. He always is part of me. Bhagavan Krishna says that such a jnani, such a yogi, such a man of meditation finds my proximity all the time and I find his proximity all the time. That is the reason why the tradition in Hinduism is that when a yogi has reached that stage, he is Bhagavan himself. Thereafter, there is no personal likes and dislikes for him. He does not entertain anymore. I need it, I am so and so, I want it, I like it, I don't like it. No more. And that is the beauty of this great path of meditation. It just makes you completely empty yourself. It's like you are standing in front of the mirror. The mirror doesn't have a personality. It just shows you. So also yogi, you go in front of him. If you are angry, you will see yourself reflecting in him. And the power of a yogi is such that, he will start expressing himself through you. And you try, if you are angry or jealous person, you go in front of him, you lose yourself. You will start expressing him. That's the beauty of it. Just like a child, small child giggling, and you go there, you will start also giggling. You make faces to the child to make the child happy. And many others will look at you. What happened? He's showing some monkey face to the child. Why is he making some kind of a noise? Because that you become a child in front of a child. In the same way, when you go in front of him, the yogi will make sure that you start reflecting him. If he is so happy that you will find yourself worryless, completely blissful. So that is the beauty of the yogi who has found the Lord in himself, and he will make sure that he expresses that to himself as well as he reflects that in everyone. So yogi worships me in every being. He lives in my thought throughout his life while engaging in any work. And thus the yogi would never ever will have anything personal about himself. And it is definitely a very hard thing to even imagine. How can anybody live in this world with no personality of his own, no personal likes and dislikes, no demand from the world? Yes, it is possible. So therefore Krishna says, have no doubt in this. You are going to achieve this if only there is a diligent practice every day in withdrawing the mind in meditation. When one withdraws the mind from all the preoccupations of the world, exclusively to sit and contemplate upon the higher self, completely withdrawing the mind to dwell in the self, even if it is very slowly done over a period of time, once you start getting the glimpse of the bliss within yourself, you no more seek anything from outside, and you will become the very abode of the Lord. The Lord will start functioning through you. And that is the nature of a yogi who has achieved God realization. Now, at this point, obviously, Arjuna will have doubts. The doubts would be without being, after all, I am dealing with my mind. Krishna, you don't understand my mind. Like all of us. We say, my mind is so agitated, disturbed, all the time running out. It is impossible for a mind like mine will ever be able to meditate. It is difficult. Many lives may go through. I will be in the same place. I'm stuck. So Krishna, do I have any solution for a mind which is agitated, restless, complaining, crying, depressed sometime, dejected sometime, disappointed? Do you have any solution for that? That will be the question he will raise in the next session, and we will see the answers which Krishna would give to him, which is the universal answer for all of us. And let us wait and watch what he would give it next. And so thank you so much, and I hope next session you will be able to discuss the ideas before we meet for the part 5. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.